Alrighty. Ooh, it's been a minute. Today we're going to start this one off with a quote. Well, more of like a song lyric because I like to switch things up a little bit. So for this quote, it's going to be, I just take my time with all this shit. I still believe in that, quote, unquote. Why? What does that have to do with anything? Well, you'll have to find out for the rest of the podcast. But just know that if you want to know where that came from, Take Care, Drake. No, wow, that's the album. Sorry. No, that's not the album. That's the fucking... Anyway, that song, Headlines, Drake, good album, really good album. I think that line right there really shows me that it's okay to take your time. I had to learn that lesson in high school, but that doesn't mean that procrastinating is okay. Really, it just means that like there's times when you got to be able to just like, sit back and focus on creating quality content over creating an amount of how much, creating a lot of it as a lot of shitty shit as opposed to creating a lot of good shit. It's going to take more time to create really good shit as it will to create really shitty shit. So that's really what I see it as. Now, what does that have to do with anything that I'm going to get into? Well, I guess this is a good time for me to address what this podcast is going to be about. I wanted to kind of give you guys a chance to like get a clear understanding of why I decided to make a podcast, who I am as a person, and what got me here. I've been making podcasts for about, realistically, I want to say about a year and a half, but it's never really been a consistent thing. It all started when I seen a Instagram post saying that LeBron James made $1 billion in endorsement deals. When I seen that, there was two things that I thought, well, I want to make a podcast because endorsement deals, you're a celebrity, you get endorsement deals. But then I had to ask myself, what's the difference between me and LeBron James? I think that the only difference between me and LeBron James is that he took his talents to South Beach. I took my talents to my bedroom. And I think that that's the only thing that separates me and LeBron. Obviously, there's a little bit of joking in that. I'm not a 6'9", 6'8", 4-time NBA champion or 3-time NBA champion, 4-time MVP. One of the greatest players of all time. I'm not highly sought after to the world. So there's a huge difference between who LeBron James is and who Michael Myrick Simpson is. But all that I seen in that post was that if you're a celebrity, you can make $1 billion off of endorsement deals. Doesn't matter who you are, in my opinion. I think that LeBron James just happens to be an athlete. I think any athlete, it's really hard to put it into perspective. I want to say any athlete can do that too, but not any athlete is LeBron James. All I seen was endorsements, famous people. Endorsements, famous people. But since we're kind of already on this topic of sports. Let's just kind of go into it because that's really where I started with my podcasting. You see, I started off with an iPad Pro, and I told myself I had a bunch of time off work, and I said, "Yo, I can edit off this thing. Why do I need a computer if I can just edit off off my iPad, and my editing software can do just as much as any editing software out there can do?" Or at least this is what I'm telling myself because I don't understand the power of a computer versus a tablet. So I downloaded LumaFusion, started playing with that, and I got really into it. And I was already into sports. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what type of video content will I be editing? So I started off with podcasts. Even though that's an audio-based thing, we all know that video podcasts are here and they're kind of not going away anytime soon. It's like, I think it's more likely to be watched on YouTube than listened to on Spotify or even Apple Music. It's just weird because looking at my camera, it looks nice and clear. And then looking at OBS, it just doesn't look that way. Reasons why I need a team. Anyway, I started getting I had my iPad, and then I was like, yo, if I want to do this, I could use my phone, but I need to create, a little something better than this. So I got ring lights, and I had my backup iPhone 6, and then I had my iPhone 7 as my cameras, and my ring light was my main light, and my iPad was my main editing software, which was LumaFusion. And in all honesty, I still think that could have been a really good system for any type of content creator who can stick to the basics. Unfortunately, I couldn't. My mind was so focused on like the output and like the result of making a really successful podcast that I was never able to make a really successful podcast. See, the idea for Time Out Talk was there, which was the sports podcast that I wanted to have, which I did have, but I kind of stopped focusing on it after a while. The intent there was me and my brother and my friends argued about sports all day long. Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless literally do the same thing. We can literally just do what we do for free on a phone. I mean, in our garage, on a podcast, and then I could turn that into content and become famous off of it. That's really all I'm seeing at that point in time. What I'm not seeing is the marketing behind the branding behind it, the amount of consistency that is needed every single day. This is not just like a weekly thing. This is you have to actively want to pursue this if you want to take it seriously. But here's the thing: at that time, I didn't know any of that. All I know is if I keep working at it, then it'll come to me. So I upgraded my shit a little bit. I got a new nice microphone, a Blue Yeti, but like the $60 one that's more round than it is cylinder. Started rocking with that, and to me, I have everything I need to start a podcast. And I still, like I said, I still believe that setup right there, a Blue mic, USB, iPad Pro for editing, a phone for recording. Personally, I think those three things right there can get you into the right spot for making content. It's a matter of like how much consistency you have. So to fast forward a little bit after the Time Out Talk thing, I'm struggling with my not really struggling with my living situation, but I want to move on in life and get out of my mom's house. So I decided to move to Las Vegas. And Time Out Talk is still in the back of my mind, but at the same time, I'm realizing the power of editing. If I make a really good edit one day, I can be noticed on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and TikTok and all these applications. I can get seen, and then I could be the next Daniel Schleifer, YC Imaging, Cole Bennett. That's what I want to be because I love music and I like videos. I can make music videos. But at the same time, my focus at that time was Time Out Talk. So now I feel like I'm being disloyal. It's like in my brain, it was like having two girlfriends. It was like, well, this one does this, but I'm really excited about this one. So I cheated on her and then went to go focus on this thing over here, which was Sweeezyyy Productions. And here, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to do interviews. I wanted to do music videos, podcasts, reviews. Anything that I could think of that excited me, I wanted to do. So I shifted my focus again, lost the consistency with Time Out Talk, and started turning some of that consistency into Sweeezyyy Productions. I moved. I had a lot of free time on my hand. I wasn't working. It's usually when I'm not working is when I start coming up with these ideas. So I'm not working, focusing on Sweeezyyy Productions, and now my main focus is reaching out to artists that live in California, even though I just moved to Las Vegas. So it's like a part of me kept wanting to go back to Cali and find content in Cali because a part of me really felt like I owed it to everyone out there. I didn't have the balls to like, yo, let's make some content out there because I didn't have the equipment yet. In fact, when I moved to Vegas, my equipment got a brand new upgrade. I went from an iPad to a MacBook, and then my phone camera to an actual DSLR Sony a6100 camera. And then I even upgraded my microphone with an interface. So now there's nothing. I'm ready. I know exactly what I want. I'm into film. I'm into editing. I'm into videography. I'm into writing. I am a film maker. So I'm going to make a podcast about film. But here's the thing. I knew absolutely fucking nothing about film. So how am I going to make a podcast about something that I knew nothing about? See, with Time Out Talk, I knew about sports. I could talk about it as much. I could talk about sports as much as my fanatic self would let me. Here's the thing. I didn't know sports as much as my brother did or as much as my friend Justin did. In fact, they were way bigger fans than I could ever be. So that told me that why would I want to represent a brand that I don't actually love? So that's what took my attention away from Time Out Talk completely. I don't love sports the way I love film right now. So let me just focus on this. So now that I'm thinking that I'm the next Cole Bennett, I'm the next YC Imaging, I'm next up, I'm the editor who could shoot his own videos. That shit's time consuming and that shit's not fun to do. That is actually a lot harder because you're doing two different jobs like in one project when you should be getting paid for both of those things, but you're really only getting paid for one. It's possible. I've seen it done. I just think that method right there was going to get me caught up in the quantity over quality. I always want to create quality, and I don't think that I knew that at the time, but I was kind of always fighting back on like wanting, and like if I put this content out right now, I'm forcing it. There's times when you can do that, but like at the same time, I feel like that could be very detrimental to your brand. You only want to put out shit that you believe in. So now that I'm over here trying to tackle all these other things, the two things that I end up doing the most were review. I started off by doing reviews, but that was easy. That was just like me demoing the product and like throwing it into the editing shit. What got complicated was the music videos and the interviews though, because that required time and effort. And then my first interview went really smooth because I had team. I had assistants, like not a team of assistants, but like I had like help. So I was able to finally like rely on people for their opinions, and that opinion would help me do better. There were two guys that I could remember helped me a lot, and that was Chris and Gage. They were really, really active with me when I first got into editing and videography. One of the things that I remember from my second interview was being told, keep going, don't stop, because a lot of people like to stop. And I did stop. In fact, I took that advice and did the opposite with it. I completely stopped. Because, well, can't really make an excuse for why I stopped. All I know is that I did. But I stopped at a pretty good point, which was like the tip of the top of when I really started getting the hang of all of it. I had 5 interviews under my belt. I had 5 music videos under my belt. And I had a bunch of random ass podcasts that it was just me talking into a mic and uploading it. So I had like a little bit of foundation, but at the same time, I never really, had a strategic plan for how I was going to do the pre-production, the production, and the post-production, and then upload all that footage where. I didn't have like a system in mind, a system planned out, and I don't think I would have got that if I didn't work at the job that I work at right now. So to give more light on that, when I moved to Vegas, I found a job at Seagull Suites, which in fact, this picture right here kind of shows me a lot about it, because it was around this time. That picture says a lot to me, because yeah, the apartments don't look bad, right? That paint job is very misleading. In fact, every apartment in there is damn near, I'm not going to go in on it because that might get me in trouble, but let's just say that these apartments aren't the fanciest, And I would never suggest living there a day in my life unless you absolutely fucking had to. I would avoid this place at all costs. But why did I take this random ass picture of this sign? Well, that's because right behind that sign, you can see the shit in the strip. That was actually my goal for coming here. I wanted to be able to, like, I used this as motivation. I would looked at the strip and said, this job is in the way of me getting there. Or this is just step one for me to get there. So now it's just crazy because it's like a couple of years later, like I was really having the same vision, the same ideas, the same thoughts in my head then than I do now. The only difference is that I'm like executing on a lot of them now. So I think that although that is true that job kind of was in my way, having a 9 to 5 is kind of always going to be in the way of your creative process. But if you have to if you're in, what is it called? Starvation mode, or no, it's when you have to survive. Literally, like never realized it, but like I'm literally in survival mode as I speak right now. If I don't have a job, I can't make money. So there's no need to focus on content if it's not going to make me money. Priorities were not fucking straight. In fact, they're still not kind of straight. I have a ticket that I haven't fucking paid yet, and I haven't showed up to court for that. So they're probably going to get on my ass anytime soon. I just hope I don't go to jail or get community service for that. Car went down. Don't have any health insurance. I'm not good with insurance. In fact, I'm a very irresponsible adult who just wants to make content for a living. It's like this. You disregard everything in life just to focus on this one thing. That is what my mindset has kind of always been. And it's like, to me, as long as I get to do this on the daily basis, on the weekly basis, I'm good. Like 1 hour of me just straight talking to a fucking camera and a microphone, knowing that one day I might not get anything out of this shit, so be it. But if there's one thing that I know, I'm going to keep pushing it. But in this time of working at Sweeezyyy, I did meet a pretty good friend who kind of like involved me into the street scene with all the music videos. So I got a lot of good content out of that. Met some people, some pretty cool people. In fact, I even met a dude who like let me like chill up in the studio every now and then. Like I seen what the real studio life was like. And then I also got to do some music videos, direct make a couple names for make a name for myself in Las Vegas a little bit. But if there's anything that this place taught me, it's like kind of how to hustle, because I met hustlers through it, and I wasn't trying to hustle like drugs and shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's like bad. If that's what you can do, that's what you can do. But at the same time, the person that I was around kind of showed me the importance of like having to get to it. Like survival mode is really fucking nuts. When you're in survival mode, you're not telling yourself anything but I got to get to it. So I learned that and I lived with that. So it was kind of pushing me to get straight to it too. So I started selling these little NFC cards, which is just this little white tag basically. It's nothing crazy. There's just a microchip in it that sends information. So I don't know if you guys probably have seen brands like this Popple, where they basically like advertise all over the internet and like, hey, we have a cool product we want you to buy. You tap this to the back of your phone and something happens. That's the best way to put it. I sold a few of these and made about $400, and then I moved to an apartment and I was able to pay my first month of rent with that money, which I know $400 isn't the most, but like that was the first time I ever got to say I hustled to survive. And god damn it, that shit was hard. And everyone was like, well, like, why'd you stop? Oh, I'm like, I don't want to make excuses, but god damn it, I was trying to like adjust. I went from living in an RV to just getting an apartment with my friend. And now I have to pay bills every single fucking day. Content is not making me any money. So why the fuck am I going to keep doing it? That's because I feel like I have a purpose. I have a reason to do it. And we could fast forward past no. Because this is leading me to like my departure. After a while, I completely got burnt out at this place. Like this shit had me so fucking annoyed that I said, you know what? I'm out. And I just quit. Like I quit on the most like random shit too. Like I remember I got annoyed because my boss kept asking me to do things that I was low-key getting tired of. So I was like, you know what? I don't need this fucking job. Bye. That was the first time I ever like did that way. Never really like did anything that rudely in my life, but I didn't feel like I was being treated fairly. I don't think anybody there was. So it was just like, yeah, it's time for me to go. And I felt like it was getting in the way of my creative process. So I had that free time to make nothing but content, thinking, oh, I'm about to go crazy. I'm about to blow up I'm gonna blow up with this time. And like trying to figure out why I'm like putting all this work and trying to figure out like, yo, like trying to put it all together. I want to accomplish all of this shit. How the hell am I going to do that by myself? That is what I wasn't telling myself. I think that's what I was most ignorant about, was asking for help and how important that help could have been. Even if it was just somebody who knew nothing about what I was doing, having a couple of hands, very, very fucking beneficial, very, very helpful. And I'm always grateful for it when I can get it. But this was right before I met anybody who was into content. It was just me and this dude Shadow from fucking Seagull Sweets. He had his own thing going on, and I had my thing going on. So I feel like, you know, I just wanted to do my thing, and he wanted to do his. We kind of went our separate ways, and then I started making content on my own. And as I as I went on my own, I started like getting less consistent. Money started running out, and I had to get a fucking job. So I did that, and in the beginning of 2021, which was crazy to say, a year ago from today, which felt like it was just yesterday, I've been living here for a year. That is nuts to me. I started working at Ross, telling myself, yeah, I'll make content during the day and then work at night. Well, here's what I didn't realize. I needed to sleep. Because now I can't sleep at night. I have to sleep during the fucking day. Meaning I'm waking up at 7 o'clock at night. And I have to go to work at 11 at night. Nah, bro, I was so fucking fed up with that shit. Oh, God. Shout out to anybody who is in survival mode that has to make it happen like that. And like they have to do that every single day just to feed their families, just to pay rent, just to make ends meet. I could not fucking do that shit. So if you're out there busting your ass, I really, really fucking salute you. And that I wish that I can do what you can do. I did not have the capacity to do that shit. It was not within my facilities. Bruv. So shout out to you if you can knock that out. So I started working there for a few months, and then once I got like tired of that 9 to 5 shit, the retail stuff, I was like, yeah, it's time to take my talents elsewhere. So I quit this is the second time I quit a job, like rudely. I called them and said I quit and hung up. I didn't want to work that fucking job anymore. In fact, I hated the idea of working for a job that felt mind numbing. I hated that. I really did. I wanted something that was more fulfilling to me. And so I started looking for jobs in that degree for 2 reasons. Money, and if I'm going to be doing anything, it better be something that I could at least not feel crazy about. 2, meeting people who are chasing the same shit that I'm chasing, and that's exactly what the fuck happened. I went from working at a shitty ass Seagull Sweets to being able to work at a place where I can do things like, this is going to look random as hell, but just being able to do shit like this. What the hell? What? No? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Those who are watching and listening, my video decided not to. Okay. Technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. My iPad doesn't want more. My switcher on my iPad doesn't want to display the content that I'm currently trying to feed it. So then I started working at a job that does shit like this. We create nice ads. So right here, we're literally just shooting a fucking car commercial for a brand named, can't really discuss them. See, that's just what got me in the door, was finding a job that shot content, which were video ads. But this is what caught my attention. All that fucking gear. All that equipment. A dope-ass R5. So now I'm able to get my hands on equipment. I'm able to. I can use this equipment on my free time, and there's people here who know how to use this equipment. To me, I could build a team here, and I can make content here. All I gotta do is put in a little extra work, and that's exactly what I did, because that's how I got here. Started making content, and then like within like my first month there, I shot that. And I basically pimped out that entire fucking front bullpen and made it my own. I made content there, and that content's on my YouTube channel, Sweeezyyy Productions, the O2 Vita interview. A little backstory on that interview too. I was not prepared. All that equipment, all that shit, everything there, I was not ready for any of it yet. I didn't understand how Procam worked. I didn't understand how log footage worked. I didn't understand how the audio kit worked. I didn't understand how to use the lights. I just made it fucking happen. And I had like about 20 minutes of help, like in all of that. So, and that was like 16 hours of setting up and putting away by myself. And I got a shirt out of it. So, and to me, that shirt means the fucking world to me, because I earned that. I didn't have to pay for it. It wasn't given to me. I earned that because I got these motherfuckers to Vegas and I shot some content for them. I earned that is what I'm telling myself. But one thing that I'm kind of not giving myself credit for was the mentality that I had the entire time. And that was like pulling good stories out of people, good moments, sentimental type vibes. Like a good heartfelt moment, like seeing somebody who is working so hard towards a goal get what they want can be interesting and really inspiring. So all I ever really wanted out of these interviews was to be able to pull that out of the people who create things. Show us how much work went into that one song. Show us how much work went into that one product release. Show us how much work went into this whole entire system from when you were a kid to when you are now. Show it to us, so that for those who want to do it too, have even more of a reason to do it. Because that's what I think is done a lot nowadays, but at the same time isn't done right. Like, I can't stand receiving the right information from the wrong person, because then it just sounds bad. But receiving the wrong information from the right person may come off misleading, because you think that they're trying to tell you something that you're either like bad at or something, but really they're just trying to like warn you about something that they ran into themselves. The person who's like, and I always want people who are really about that shit, if that makes sense. People who really give a fuck about the artistic side, the creative side, the feelings, the passion, the artwork, the shit that you can feel side. The people who care about the quantity over like how many we sell, how many we push, the business side of things, that tends to get in the way of like how we feel about things. That's just how I see it. But that's just how I believe. Point is though that I don't think that you can make content. I don't think you can make anything great if you rush it. So all the content that I was trying to make before kind of felt rushed. Now it's more like, okay, let me take my fucking time with this, because if I'm going to make a podcast a week, at least let me do it right and create some foundation here. Because before I wanted to do multiple things at once, but that requires a team. Where now I can manage making a podcast one time a week and distributing that podcast content throughout the next week. See, I can focus on that, because that's a one-man job and it can be spread throughout the week. What I can't do is a really nice interview for 2 to 3 people on the weekly basis by myself and get that shit edited by the end of the week. No, I cannot do that. That's what I would like, but I can't do that by myself. So that is the main thing that I took away from like those 2 years of trying to make content and really getting no real results out of it, other than finding people who I can collaborate with. Which is like my lesson, is that just because I didn't get the result that I was looking for initially, that doesn't mean that I wasn't making progress this entire time. Because what it did exactly what I needed it to do. It surrounded me with people who inquired similar desires to do what a TAKE just to reach a TOP. I'm talking ideas, motivation. Only real ones understand that fucking bar from Kendrick Lamar and Cut You Off back in 2011. When I heard that, I was 16 years old. I had no clue what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. But when I heard that, I knew that that's exactly what I wanted. To surround myself with people who were on the same wavelength as me, who wanted to go to the same places as me, and weren't scared to fucking go there together. And also weren't intimidated by me enough to, like, steal my ideas and keep it pushing. These motherfuckers actually stuck around and wanted to, like, try to do their best to give me their opinions on how they think I should be doing things. But also learning a lesson that just because they're good at something doesn't mean they're going to help you out. And that's not a bad thing on either end. But on my end, I made it a bad thing because I'm thinking that these people, like, owe me something because I have all these ideas, when really I'm the most annoying person in their life because they've seen my type time before. Like, they've seen my kind many times before to the point where they get sick of it. So it's very easily, like, so I had a friend tell me, like, no one's going to fuck with your shit unless they fuck with your shit. And I wasn't giving them any reason to fuck with my shit. I'm like, bro, I just dropped the dope ass interview. What are you talking about? Well, that was one interview in, like, the past 3 months. And the last one you did was, like, 6 months apart. There was a huge lack of consistency. So a part of me, like, I had to tell myself, no one's going to fuck with me unless I give them a reason to. And I'm not giving them a reason by talking about it. I'm going to give them a reason by showing them what I'm capable of and just who I am. A person who wants to create. A person who wants to help other creators create. A person who wants to create opportunities for people who love what they do to work for what they love, make money for what they love. And it all falls in line with the common vision. And that's to help other people create shit. Because I think that the most important person in creating is the student. The student who grows up and creates. They need really good teachers and really good learning lessons. They could learn lessons in many different forms. But in today's time, it's happening with online courses, YouTube, and blogs, or, like, pieces that you find on the internet. Your resources come from the internet nowadays. If it's not from a textbook, shit, it might be cited from a textbook. Point is that the student is doing all the learning. So when they learn, I want to make content that really makes them learn, because I feel like I had a really hard time learning when I was younger, from like 10 to like fucking 20. That decade right there, I had a really hard time trying to learn things. And the thing that I took away from it all was that I never had a mentor that I could fall back on in each subject. You know how you have teachers at school? Yeah, I didn't take my teachers seriously, and my teachers didn't take me seriously. So it was very hard for me to, like, to give a fuck about learning when the shit that I was learning I didn't see potential in. Like, I didn't see how beneficial math can be in data analytics and coding. I didn't see how beneficial English could be in arts and literature and screenwriting and screenplaying and making and writing out content and learning journalism and stuff like that, learning how people talk to each other, communication. I never understood how much English could play a part in that, but also play a part in filmmaking and fucking and writing plays and writing music videos and writing scripts, writing. Never realized the beneficial and the potential in that. With science, I still don't really see the potential for me, but because of the fact that I suck at math and I suck at science, I cannot be as excited about computer science as I would like to be, because I don't know enough about math or science, which kind of create computer science. But I know that if I do a good job at helping at getting creators' attentions through a podcast, that potentially I could hire somebody who loves computer science to talk about computer science, write about computer science, and shit, even create a department of computer science. Because in my head, there's so many departments that companies have, but like these tech companies that are these YouTubers who like create their own companies, I think that they kind of do it wrong, because they fill themselves with like other creators who are famous, so that you get the most creative people, the most famous people on YouTube in the same house, you'll get the most viral video. When I think that if you had one person for like each department that you would like, you roll with that team, and then they build out their departments as you guys grow together, then like your first 10 years of making YouTube content was fun. But the next 10 years of life are going to be even funner, because you can build a department out of the people you grew with. and they all grew their own niches, but your niches are kind of coming together and forming this like network of teams that could create shit for other businesses, and now you can be a B2B, a B2C, whatever you want to be. I see the business side of things and I see like the entertainment side of things. I just want to make those two things kind of mesh, and I think that Sweeezyyy Production is a great place where that's going to happen, because that's where we help creators create. That's where I try to do my best to like pull out the artistic, the real side of things, you know, shit that people could feel. And with Eyeris, it's more like focusing on the tech side, because all I could ever really do is talk about tech and reach out to people who like tech just as much as I do. But also trying to still tell stories through tech. Like the story that I'm trying to tell right now is that I need tech in order to create a community online, which is kind of weird to say, but like I need high-end equipment in my opinion, but the high-end equipment that I have, it can't even get me the quality content that I want. All I'm really happy about is that I have a system that I could follow. Whether the content quality, like the resolution is good or not, the shit that I'm saying is going to be good. The shit that I'm talking about is going to be good. The person that I have on this podcast knows what they're talking about and loves what they're talking about. That's why they're on my podcast. And I think that's where my focus has kind of always been. I did give up. In fact, I gave up a lot longer than I thought I did. And I gave up a lot. And I stopped pushing at the end of the day. I stopped fucking pushing. And I don't think that I would have ever picked up that push again if it weren't for the people that I knew and the people who I surrounded myself around. People who understood content, people who understood film, people who understood business. Just being around those people makes me want to work towards that shit way more, and kind of prove them wrong and prove them right, and show them that like I do got it. I can do this, and giving them a reason to get excited about hopping on my podcast too. I really want to give a big shout out to anybody who actually gave me a chance in the beginning. You guys had no fucking reason to, like, at all. And you guys all kind of gave me your advice and told me, hey, like, what to look out for and shit. I took some of it, didn't take a lot of it. But, like, at the end of the day, I think that I'm always going to keep pushing towards this. And this is the most consistent that I've ever been because of the fact that I have, like, a system that I could follow every single week. And I think that there ain't no this time. Now, it's different because I know what I'm going for. I know what I'm chasing. And I have a plan on how to get to that. I just need help along the way. I need to find people who are actually, like, you know, willing to help, I guess. And I think I found those people. So I guess the thing that I want to say now is just, like, look out for me from now on. I'm kind of, like, trying to, like, put together a team and find people who are, like, good at different things and can help me create podcasts better and create YouTube videos better. But at the same time, like, the main vision there is putting people in the same house who I could build departments out of. Don't know what that sounds like to them, but if you're trying to build, I'm trying to build with you at the end of the day. I may not have made content the way I wanted to make content for the past 2 years. Point is, I've been making content. I stopped for a little bit, but the vision never went away. The vision's always going to fucking be there. The execution is turning up day by day, week by week, month by month. It's only a matter of time until I see something that's going to make me push even further, push even harder. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing about any of this is that, like, I realized that I stopped, why I stopped, and I'm going to continue to keep going. Because there's nothing that I ever really believe in more than myself. And that's something that I don't give myself a lot of credit for. Is like how much I believe in myself. I believe in myself so much that I'm willing to, like, bet the bank on this content shit. Because to me, this is just the first stop. Having a social media presence is the first stop. How I control, like, how that presence is seen by the rest of the world is really what's important to me. What am I known for? Well, I want to be known for helping creators create. It's as simple as that. And it's always going to be as simple as that. With this piece of content, I want people to be able, I want to pull content from this clip and show it to other people and show them, like, I want you on my podcast. Here's why I make a podcast. I make a podcast because when I listen to podcasts, I get inspired. And I want to be that person who inspires others. I want to bring people on this podcast who love what the fuck
they do and talk about it so much that it pisses everybody else around them off because of how much they talk about this thing. I don't give a fuck what it is. I bet you technology has a fucking piece in it somehow, some way. Even if it's just writing books, still got to get them bitches published. I don't care if it's just using a phone to call somebody. Technology plays a very pivotal role in everybody's career anywhere. I just want to see how it played a role in yours. So if you feel like you have some interesting tech things to talk about, please holla at me. Hit me up, text me, comment. Just let me know that you want to talk and tell me what you want to talk about. I promise you I'll do my research, and I promise you I'll make that shit as exciting as you will, because I can get excited about anything that I fucking talk about. But the main things that I catch myself talking about happen to be about music, VR stuff, coding, crypto, music videos, and filmmaking, and fucking screenwriting. I'm really I'm like a hub for all creators to just vibe. Literally. Just a fucking vibe over here. I'm just trying to create a vibe. That's literally it. But yeah. Thank you for tuning. If you're listening to this, 7 episodes in. If this podcast didn't show you who I was as a person, I'm sorry for that. But just know that my mind goes in a lot of places. And I think that if I had a guest on here more often, these conversations are going to be a lot better and a lot healthier for the listener. So just know that I'm a guy who started off with an iPad and an iPhone. Couldn't do anything with that. I have an interface, a switcher, a few monitors, an iPad, MacBook, camera, gimbal, lights. I have all the equipment that I need. So all I'm really missing is a guest and a few members on my team. So if you feel like you feel like helping a brother out, please fucking do. I'm struggling over here, man. I'm trying to build. I'm trying to create shit, man. Like dead ass. So if you're as excited as I am, hit me up. Let me know what you can do, and I'll let you know what I can do. Shit. I don't care what it is at this point. I just like collaborating and networking at this point. And to those who my first chapter of networking, linking, and connecting with people, the names that I could remember are Alex, Mark, Elijah, Jay Million, Callie the Poet, Tati, from Wood Morning, Gabe, Gage, people I kind of look up to, Chris, somebody who I look up to and helped me a lot. It gets a little bit like scruffy after that, because I did music videos for my boy Theo, who really let me like find myself and find out that music videos may not be for me when it's just me. There's like that's 10 people that I could call at any moment and say, hey, you want to make some content? So that's always a great thing as well. So it's like really a thank you to you guys for like believing in me, even though I didn't do the best with the content that we created. It really was just me over here. So like the whole time trying to make it happen, and shit, I did that. It was time consuming and annoying, and I didn't get the shit that I was looking for. But if there's one interview that I'm excited about, it's going to be my first one, because that was the first time I created something and told myself I'm proud of that. I like that. That was the first time I was able to do that. Show me that I need to keep doing this, but I want to be able to do it right. So stay tuned. Sweeezyyy Productions. Eyeris is a Sweeezyyy production. Eyeris is a place where we tell stories through tech, through the eyes of tech, through the ears of tech, and through the mouth of tech. And Sweeezyyy Productions is a place where we help creators create. And I want to take you guys with me. So call it delusion. I call it confidence. You got to have a fucking false sense of it every now and then. And I don't care how false mine is. I'm getting there with or without anybody. So I can't wait till I'm like at episode 1999 and I'm like, yo, I remember when I was doing this shit in my bedroom. I want to be one of those guys, who like started in his bedroom and like made it happen from there. I just kept going. That's what I believe in. That's what I see. And Shadow is you as well, my guy. I know I haven't always been consistent to those who have worked with me, but that's changing. And if you're not seeing that now, then in about another 10 episodes, I'll say I told you so. 10 more episodes, I'll say I told you so. 50 more episodes, I'm going to say I told you so, because this time I didn't come here to play. I have a plan, and I'm planning on fulfilling that the best way that I can. So thank you for staying tuned for the 7th episode of Eyeris the podcast, a Sweeezyyy Production. And stay tuned for the next one because, damn, I'm going to have a guest on that one. And we will be talking about Mac versus PC. So keep an eye out or an ear out for that.